Hello guys, my name is Thomas Mihawk. I'm here to talk to you guys about trigger boxes, enemy spawning, and a variety of other event-based things today. So, what are we here to talk about? So, more specifically, I said enemy spawning. I wanted to be able to stem this video for a wide variety of people that are going to be able to say, hey, I need to get this done. How can I do it? My specific video is not going to go over how to create the enemies or how to make them do certain things, but how to spawn them in. Right here is an example of a character or actor. We are going to have this spawn in due to an event. How are we creating that event today? Well, that's what the video is all about. This event is going to be called a trigger. Specifically, we're going to be using a trigger box. A trigger box is a geometric area in which you can enter, and a set of code or block code, like we can see here, is going to execute. In our case, we already have a set of code executing. It's this portal and guy right here. Well, what if you want to create your own? You know, it's a lot boring to just copy me. So follow me along in this video today, and we're going to go through the journey of stepping you through how to spawn different things due to events using a trigger box. Intro music, beautiful, beautiful, awesome, amazing. I'm too poor for intro music, so we're going to get right into it today. First, you're going to need Unreal Engine 5 installed. We are working on Unreal Engine 5 today, and we're working with assets that you might not have, which is okay. Currently, you can choose any set number of assets, and we're going to talk about how you can exchange those. But the ones I'm using today are trigger box, an actor, and a particle system, and same thing, another actor. So, let's walk through how you get these things into your world. A trigger box. A trigger box, very simple. You're going to go up to here, this menu right now. You're going to left click on it, go down to the search bar and look up trigger. Earlier, I said trigger box was it was a geometric area in which it allows your program, we're going to revise what I said earlier a little bit, it's going to allow your program to recognize something is happening, execute a set of code, specifically when something enters a geometric area. So, in our case, I picked a trigger box. It's nice and simple, nice and sleek. It fits the doorway we're working on today, but something to always keep in mind is that users are stupid. Love you. Love all my users out there. I don't think anyone's going to watch this video, so I'm really just crapping on my future users. But let's get to the point here. Users are going to find out how to break your game. That's what they're made for. It's the same thing with web developers. It's the same thing with any developer. You need to make it user proof. So, blocking off an entire doorway where the character cannot jump around, or he might be able to depending on how skilled they are. Oh yeah, see, even myself, I could probably find a way around my own box, but we're not going to waste our time with that today. If you do decide to use a trigger box like me, you can use any of the triggers for this video, but if you decide to use a trigger box like me, it's going to be small at first. It spawned underneath. It's going to be small at first. How do you fix this? You go over to the right side here and you change the scale. That is going to change the geometric shape of your box. So continue to play with it until it fits the space you need. Once you're done with that, we're going to leave that here. We're not going to make it very complicated. If you would like to rename it, you can click on the material and go to the outliner. You can also find the outliner in the Windows tab. go to the outliner. Once the item is clicked, right click on it and go down to edit and rename. The second thing we're going to need for this tutorial today, actors. In our case, actors can do a very wide variety of things. But what we're going to specifically utilize them for today is location tracking. So, how do we turn these two invisible little things into a cool ass portal and character? Well, I'm going to show you today. After you've grabbed that trigger box and put it in your world, open up your content menu. I might have just looked like I did that with magic. I actually did that with Control Space. You can also do that with Windows and Content Browser. Content Browser 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on your viewing pleasure. Once you open up a content browser, you're going to right click in any folder you'd like. I specifically made a folder, Thomas Tutorial 1, and right click inside that folder, go to Blueprint Class, click Actor, name this actor whatever you would like. For our sake, we named ours for the specific video BP Tutorial Fake. That's what we're going to be working with today. Once you create your actor, we're going to delete this so we can go through the process. Left click on that actor and drag it into the world. Now, actors can do a whole lot of things. This is not a 15-minute video to go over everything actors can do. So in our case, we're going to keep it nice and simple and use actors for location or a reference point in our world. So how do we connect these two things together? Well, the code for when your character interacts with this box needs to happen somewhere. Where's that happen, you ask? Well, thankfully, I'm here to help you. Go up to this top bar, go down to Open Level Blueprint. This is going to be all of the different program and executables that go off while you're inside of this level. Here is what we're going to be basing our code off today. This is what you saw when you first saw the character and the portal appear. What we want is not when you touch this actor, it's not when you touch this actor, it's not even when you fall into this pit. It's when you go inside of your trigger box. So, click on the trigger box using the left click on the mouse and open up that code and right click. First thing you're going to see is you're going to see a add event for the name of your box, call functions for the name of your box, or a reference for the name of your box. So what we're going to want today is an event, specifically a collision event that says when we overlap the box, execute this code. I guess it... okay. So we're not going to stop the video here, but we're going to adjust a little bit. So instead of rewriting the code, we're going to go over what code we specifically have. Once you right click, add that collision, a box like this is going to appear. This name is already preset for you, but it is going to be the function, many programmers may know that terminology, that is going to execute once you cross through or overlap that asset inside your world. So let's break this big bad code down. So in my case, I want something to only happen once. We have this do once block. The do once block can do a multitude of things, but specifically it's going to stop it from constantly repeating and constantly building assets inside of our world. You can do this with an if statement, you can do this with a branch statement, but today we're only going to go over do once. Once you have this do once block, by clicking on this trapezoid, it's what we're executing and dragging it to a certain location, this menu is going to open up. In this menu, you can type in the code you want. In our case, do once is a block of code that we can click on and continue to execute with. The first step that we want to happen once we first overlap with our box is we want the portal to spawn. The idea of what I showed you guys in the beginning was that when the portal spawned, we want to wait a little time and then have a character spawn after it to essentially show the interaction of, oh, someone's coming out of the portal. So we want to spawn something. It says system allocation. Don't worry about that. In my case, system is the type of asset that my portal is. You might be spawning an actor, which we're going to go over later. You might be spawning a Niagara system, a particle system. But in our case, we're going to keep it basic and say system at location. So at our do once, we're going to continue to execute and say spawn. Notice there are a lot of different ways to spawn something. Emitters, systems, actors. In our case, we want to do a system at location. So it's going to represent our portal at a certain location. Well, how do you turn this big scary block that you've never seen before into the portal? Once go to system template is going to be all the systems that Unreal Engine can find inside of your library. If you do not have any here, there's a good chance that you did not download the starter pack for Unreal Engine. I myself did not, but what I did download is on the Unreal Engine or the Epic Games Marketplace, there are free Niagara systems and other particle systems that you can choose and use inside of this, inside of Unreal Engine. So do not feel afraid if you've not seen these portals before. Simply just go onto the Unreal Marketplace and find something free if you are just following along with this tutorial. Once you can pause here. Once you've unpaused, I want you to make that choice. We chose Portal 13, and now we have to go over how we are going to get the location. The first thing we need to do to get the location is, well, we gotta guess. Well, how do we guess? Well, gosh darn it, we can't just throw in it, say, oh, maybe it's X20, Y30. That's confusing as hell. That's why we place the actor. The actor is going to give us a reference in our world that is going to give us all the attributes associated to this actor. Because we didn't create a complex actor, one of the only main attributes it has currently is location. So if you go over to your actor, left click on it, that's inside your world, and go back to your code. By right clicking on the code, you can create a reference to this actor. A reference is how you grab all those attributes from the actor itself. And one of the attributes is location. If you go down to get actor location, click on it, it's going to return a vector. This is definitely not the video, and I am definitely not the expertise to explain to everybody what a vector is. Simply think of it where you're sitting. It's a point in space, and it's how you can, it's where we want to put this portal in this example. With the spawners, they're going to ask for a location. You're going to give it a location by clicking and dragging on this yellow point. Once you have that set up, we want to next spawn our actor, or aka spawn the character. So how do we go about that? In our case, I want to wait a little bit. I want to say, okay, you're going to wait for 1 second, and then I want to see that actor spawn in. How do we do that? A timer event. So just like this event back here is determined when something starts to overlap an obstacle, This timer event is going to trigger and execute a set of code, spawn actor, after the timer is released. Let's make it 2 seconds to make it a little bit different for this example. We can do this so that way everyone sees. Set timer by event. That means once the timer executes, trigger that event, pick a time, it's going to be in seconds, and then drag off of here. This is going to bring up an event menu. To choose the event that we're playing with today, I picked a custom event. So if you go to add event, add custom event. You can click this and you can choose a name for your event. This is not really going to matter. Essentially, it's just a second block of code that is going to execute once the timer is done. In our case, we're going to keep spawn actor. The only difference we have from what you're going to see on your screen is the name itself. So after 2 seconds, what happens? Well, this trapezoid is going to start to execute. We're going to want to spawn a character. In our case, we talked about in the beginning of the video, spawning an enemy. So what are enemies? They're AIs. They're artificial intelligence. So use your spawn keyword by right-clicking and going to spawn. Find spawn AI. If you can't find it, continue to type in. We're going to hit spawn AI from class. So once you find the spawn AI from class, you're going to hit the class that you want to click, and oh no, he hasn't explained what class to click yet. Luckily, as long as you have downloaded Unreal Engine properly, it is going to give you a basic character from the very beginning. Bless you. Excuse me. Gosh. That character is going to be under our third person folder. Once we find this third person folder, go under blueprints, and we're going to be right here. Mine, as you can see, already has a skin, but yours will not. It'll be the very basic Unreal Engine skin. That is okay. That is okay that that spawns in. That is something for another video and another time. So let's go back here. Notice the name of the class is called BP third person. I did not create that. The system itself created that. So once you find that name, go to select class, BP third person, and again, we run into the issue. Where do we want it to spawn? Oh, well, we already have the value over here. Let's drag it over. Nice and easy, right? No issues, no problemo. Let's hit play. Actually, we're gonna get rid of this. We can control Z, so we're gonna get rid of all of this just to show this off. Compile it to make sure it works. Once you walk in, whoa, portal spawns. Oh, but the character's sideways. That's not what we wanted. We want it to be facing us. We don't want to be inside the portal. That just looks messy. So, how are we going to adjust this? I got the key for you. We're going to Control Z, pretend like I didn't totally just delete this stuff. And we're going to adjust the area where our we're going to adjust the area where our class is spawning. We have the location of the actor, so instead of creating a whole nother actor and saying, okay, spawn the character here, we're going to take that vector that it creates, drag off of it. This menu is going to pop up once we let go of the left trigger on the mouse. We're going to look up subtract. It is going to bring up a menu that looks like this. And in our case, we want to subtract away from the portal. In your world, you just have to see if that is plus or minus. In my case, it's going to be subtracting 200. Okay. And I'm also going to have us print out the location of the portal so that way we can physically see it. How did I do that? I should probably go over that because I just stumbled right through that. That's another trick. If you get off uh, of a vector and look from vector to string, you'll have toString float vector. That's going to convert these messy set of numbers into something human readable. Then you're going to drag off this and look up print string. That is going to allow us to see it in real time. But whenever a block like this has an execute, that means it has to happen in an order. In our case, an order is going to be right after we spawn the character itself. Make it nice and simple. Okay, let's play it, see how we're doing. Better, the character is out, he's away from the portal. So, last thing, you notice that the character was facing in a weird direction? Well, if we want to change that direction, we are going to be able to go down to rotation and rotate him uh, in any specific way we want. In our case, let's say 270 to test it out. Beautiful. That was first try. You're going to be able to play around with this, see what works out with you best. I would suggest when you are working with something that is upright and is able to turn in this direction, clockwise or counterclockwise, I would always rotate in the Z axis. In my opinion, that is the easiest way to do it, but feel free to play around with the rotations and see how it turns out. Up here, I have a set. This is when I want to go deeper into the timer by event, but it looks like for today we're running out of little time. So our next video will be talking about what we can further do with this timer and how to better use it inside of our program. In our case, don't worry about that, but stay tuned in for part 2, and please leave a like and share, I guess. This is my first time doing this, so let me know how it came out. And thank you for watching and being a part of the journey. Hopefully these will be a little more efficient in the future. Have a great day. Goodbye.